So we talked about the Nike, that passive. The movement speed doesn't matter if you have a Ram in the sky and the Chiron that's hitting you from literally anywhere with the guaranteed shot. I love the selection. Nike not able to do it. Need to see Noble move away from it. I expect this one to go 3 games if Noble can find a better composition.
Well, it's just about how Noble, they seem to do the same thing every single game. It's always Chapo helping out Uzzy in the early game. It's always Wubbn in that mid lane with stealth, and it's always Wowy all alone on that duo side. And that game in particular was a great opportunity to leave Uzzy alone and help out Wowy and get him ahead on the Skadi, and Noble just could not adjust. I think they need to either draft around a composition where their style works or switch up their style to fit their draft.
Yeah, that's actually a really big point. Zapman said on Twitter earlier that he was very confused why Noble let the Skadi 1v1 the Ram. This is the situation where you want to change things up. So, you know, words from Zapman, one of the higher hunters here in North America, certainly something to think about if you're Noble. We'll see if they opt to go ahead and change that. Bans coming out for game number 2. Zeus and Hun Bats on the left side, banned out by Oxygen Supremacy. Noble Esports, however, they don't want to see Kabrakan whatsoever, and they've got one more left.
This could be a bit of a trap, though, for Noble, because they played the Skadi last game. It didn't really work out, so they might get baited into not banning it, but that could be an issue up against Oxygen Supremacy, where DayToRemeber played it very, very well. Skadi open, Chang'e also open here.
Yes, for the first time ever.
Yeah, I mean, Chang'e completely just insane, both in the mid lane and in the jungle. Skeeledon's been practicing it, and I think he could be ready to bring it out.
What I want to see from Noble here is a team comp that has a bit, there it is, the Chang'e, a bit more direction towards synergy. The last team comp they had was more relying on counter initiation. Yeah. It was a very slow initiation on their part. I want to see them take more initiative.
Especially for a team known to be as aggressive as Noble is. Very curious to see that sort of thing. Chang'e, what an interesting trip that this character has had. If you haven't really caught much of our spring split, you might be wondering why Chang'e has been so, sought after. Well, DJ Pernicus really brought her out in the jungle, and very rarely can you point to a single point in time when something is made. Usually it's just over the flow or meta changes. DJ picked Chang'e once in the jungle, and now it is a standard, almost must-ban. And like you said, Skeeledon's been practicing it. Junglers have to have Chang'e in their arsenal, I feel. Why is she so powerful right now?
The itemization is the big key. She can start with the Bumba's Mask and the Sands of Time, get those cooldown boots pretty early on, considering her passive allows her to buy without having to back, and then you can just get Shield of Regrowth, and you're 2 items in with 40% CDR, a ton of HP. You rely on your base damage, and you just heal and dance, and you're impossible to kill with that sort of build. It's very, very difficult to handle.
She's going to be next to DayToRemeber's incredible Ram. I spoke about it, then we watched it, and now we get to watch it again. The Ymir, not a popular pick so far, but Ymir's a character that your team really enjoys.
It's a tiny bit unconventional. I like it here. The Medusa relies on a dash to get away. If the dash is cut off by a wall, she's in a lot of trouble. Same goes Skadi and also the Morrigan, so it looks very promising so far.
So interesting draft here from Noble. I don't even know the last time we saw Stealth on a Hunter in the mid lane. It might have been against you guys at Season 2 Worlds with his Neath that didn't end up working out. Medusa here, I mean, it's just a little bit curious for me. I like the Skadi pick right away. I don't think there's any way that Oxygen Supremacy understand the Medusa's coming and ban it away, or pick it, because we know DayToRemeber seems to favor this Ram into that matchup. So maybe a little bit early on the trigger there. And then the Morrigan, I anticipate this is going to be in the jungle for Chapo. This is not necessarily an Uzzy god. Chapo loves to play this god. And not only it fits their team composition because they need a little bit more magical with the Hunter in the mid lane, but it's also, more importantly, taking it away from Kiki.
I think that's the key there is pick is the ban via the pick. Taking it away from Kiki is going to be very strong. And that leaves Noble 2 extra bans to play with, one of which will be the Thoth. We'll see what their final ban will wind up being. Across the way, however, OS opts to take Fafnir out of the conversation. With 2 Hunters, what Fafnir brings is just too much. The augmentation of those basic attacks gets very scary very quickly.
Fafnir, one of the highest picks Guardians in the spring split. Very, very potent. I think it's kind of flown under the radar, I would say, as far as top Guardian picks, but certainly fits the bill, especially with this composition. In fact, he did have the highest pick rate of any Guardian in the spring split.
So Vulcan's banned out. We saw NeiruMah play Vulcan a little bit earlier in the day, and Terra will be banned out as well. We haven't seen her picked, and she's been banned here and there. Normally, these days, more of a solo laner than a support. Demi, how do you feel about Terra and her impact on the game currently?
I think Terra's in a pretty good spot. I would like to see her maybe a bit earlier. I think she has a very promising kit. Just maybe NA doesn't value it as highly. But yeah, I'm surprised she's not picked earlier. Yeah,
I think it's very interesting that she gets that far down. And with her ban, it'll be a different Guardian of choice. Noble Esports opts to go Sobek. We'll see where Sobek winds up. Like you said, Morrigan, not really an Uzzy god. Still, Sobek can wind up in the hands of a Guardian or a solo.
Sure, definitely a flex pick. I wouldn't be surprised to see Noble go for an aggressive support with either the Sobek or Amaterasu being open. Amaterasu has had unbelievable success throughout the entire split, not only in solo, but in that support role. I think it would fit Noble's draft very, very well here.
Two more selections here to finish off Oxygen Supremacy's draft. Chang'e, Rama, and Ymir chosen so far. So a lot of damage, even on the Guardian that they choose. Still damage coming out of Ymir, kind of his #1 game plan. The other two choices, we'll see how that winds up. Do you expect to see some more frontline, or is Chang'e enough in the jungle?
They have the unique opportunity to also go for another hunter here. The exclusive double hunter versus double hunter. They have the Ymir and Chang'e to set up, and they could just pick more DPS if they wanted to. But I think they're taking a very long think about what they want.
They've got a lot of options here, certainly. Chang'e, again, could be in the mid lane. We didn't really talk about that potential, but Venenu could definitely play that in mid. We've seen Met Yankee have excellent success on Chang'e in the mid lane. We've kind of slotted that into jungle prematurely, potentially.
Very true.
Could certainly see, you know, the Hunbats is banned, but Susanoo's available here. That could be a good selection for Skeeledon.
That does look like double hunter to me.
With the Xing Shen, Chiron will be the double hunter, so the Chiron likely to be in the mid lane one more time on Venenu, solidifying the fact that Skeely will wind up on the Chang'e. So we've seen a number of different, we've seen Oxygen Supremacy play 3 games so far, and I feel like we've seen 2.5 different strategies coming out. We're going to repeat the Chiron in the mid lane, but bringing the Chang'e into the jungle is a nice little change of pace.
It's been impressive to see how many different things Oxygen can do. I mean, we talked about it last time in Game 1, where sometimes a team can kind of get forced into this awkward situation where you're just picking the same things over and over again in a gauntlet like this, but Oxygen clearly came prepared to go deep into this tournament.
Odin for Uzzy. That is his character. Yeah, he loves the ring man. We'll see if it works out or if it'll be another circus for Noble Esports. It's Anatolian Hindu on the call.
Thanks so much again, Tom. Looking at these drafts, though, that Odin, the last pick, which dictates to me Morrigan is probably jungle here for Chapo. Chapo does like it in the jungle. We don't see too much of the Morrigan in the jungle, though.
No, not at all. We haven't seen Morrigan in quite a little bit. Weekend's been playing it a little bit here, a little bit there, but Morrigan's one of these guys that can flex between mid, jungle, and solo. We've seen Kiki in the last game playing the solo Morrigan, so I like the combination of Odin as well, shutting down all these gods here that can't necessarily get out of that cage. So gonna have to go for an early Phantom if you're Oxygen.
And that's the question, do you go for an early Phantom? Does one of you have to pick Phantom at the start because it's going to be a solo lane Odin? Or would you rather see him pick him up at level 12, but then you've just got to wait till level 12 before you can get it?
Yeah, you have to really be curious about when the timing of that window is going to be, whether it's going to be early or late. It's a risk versus reward, because if you get the Phantom, then you're not going to be getting maybe the meditation, maybe the shell, or even a heavenly potentially.
But we could be going back to double hunter here, Tolly. Obviously, every single LAN that we ever broadcast, there is always a LAN meta that develops, and right now, it's all about hunters.
And Oxygen have been flexing their strategies every single game. Now, not only do they do a double hunter this game around, but they have so much magical damage here. You have the Ymir, Chang'e, and the Xing Chen. So not only do you have this magical damage, you have so much control between the freeze, the wall, the knock-up, tossing people back and forth, and then the potentially 5-second stun coming out of Chang'e.
Well, I was going to mention before it was going to be Odin solo. It's not. Wubbn will be taking the Odin to the support role here. Uzzy will be on the Sobek instead. This does mean Odin's going to be more involved in these fights around mid now, Tolly.
This is why Wubbn is playing the Odin, because he wants to be able to cage Skeeledon and Venenu as early and as frequently as possible, whereas if Uzzy was playing the Odin, he wouldn't really be making the same kind of early rotations.
Well, these trades are not working out well for Noble right now. Left-hand side is where you can see where Oxygen has already started farming with a duo over there. Right-hand side, though, you can see Kiki has been left 2v1, looking to just try and do some of his blue buff on his own right now, as in the jungle contest once again from NeiruMah. NeiruMah just to put pressure on Wowy a little bit more, and now they can look to invade these buffs.
It seems that Oxygen going to be able to secure themselves the purple, maybe even the red on the left. Speed buff will be stripped away from Noble here on their own side. Not able to really capitalize too much here because the mid lane pressure is going to go for Oxygen.
And now Stealth back in mid. Great lacerate on Skeely, and Skeely forced to Aegis there early, avoiding the damage from Chapel, but not all of it. One more in-hand will do it. Stealth will pick it up with the blue stone pendant.
This is the kind of aggression that Chapo needs to get off to in order to get this kind of advantage and then look for more plays later down the road. We talk about Chapo and Skeeledon being momentum-based players, but it's really hard to get some sort of momentum when you're playing a Chang'e early on. And because the speed buff was taken this early after the mid wave, Chapo hits level 2, whereas Skeeledon didn't necessarily get the same kind of pressure that he needed.
A lot of focus from Noble on the right-hand side of the map here, especially sending Wubbn over right at the start to help out Uzzy in the solo lane. They're able to pressure the blue buff and the speed buff of Oxygen there. Left-hand side, different story though. Oxygen have had their way with things so far on that side of the map.
Not able to really capitalize on too much here. Kiki though in the solo lane going to be very careful going with the Xing Chen here. Not going for any sort of chalice, but when I mentioned that he's going to be careful, looking at his starter item, he's actually going for a very offensive selection here, going for that Hourglass.
With two Guardians on the team though, one like Xing, Tian and Ymir, they can switch up the battlefield as they see fit. Ymir can go in, look for the aggression, followed in by Xing, Tian, as Ymir drops back to heal, as also defend the backline. So the juggle is going to be there for those two Guardians today.
Playing off of one another, especially frontliners, is a good idea, especially when you have these double 100 compositions between both of these teams. NeiruMah looking like he wants to group up, and now, because the 2v2 not going in the favor of Oxygen, now you're going to be relying on your support a little bit heavier on trying to control the space.
DayToRemeber a bit of an advantage in this lane so far, just because he was duo laning for a little while longer with NeiruMah, where he lost a lot of his jungle there early on. And that's a good thing to be if you are a Rama 2 up against a Skadi. We talk Skadi is fantastic at the boxing matchups, if not the best boxer in the 1v1 against other hunters. Rama's good for being able to weather the storm there, but it's going to be difficult.
And DayToRemeber is very quiet, I would say, so far in both of these sets. He's made the plays, but he hasn't been like really the kind of shining star out of Oxygen. Look at this little gank attempt by Noble. They have level 5 onto Stealth. This could be an easy kill.
Skeely looks to the left and to the right is Wubbn. Skeely didn't get trapped in the ring, though. He'll just walk back to safety. The two traps in the ring with full health. The bird bomb wasn't enough for NeiruMah to die. One more hit would do it, but they don't find the damage, and instead Chapo goes in too deep and pays with his life.
Too aggressive was Chapo. I like the idea and mindset. He gets the Chang'e switch just to hit level 5, gets off a huge waxing moon, but it's just not enough damage to sustain from not only Skeeledon, but Venenu keeping his teammates alive is why that was so successful for the counter attempt.
Looked a little bit like Noble couldn't decide who to go on there with 3 prime targets available to them. The one that the rest of Noble went on was on the left-hand side, which was Skeeledon. But Wubbn caged the other two.
It just seemed like, okay, so the idea and the mindset was trying to pick on the Chang'e that's level 3, doesn't have any sort of health or defenses, very easy to lock down, does have the or the Aegis rather to survive a little bit, but it just isn't enough. But at the same time, you have to be able to be on the same page here, and Wubbn thought that the Ymir that was stunned out was the better option.
Kiki's done a good job in this solo lane after being 2v1 at the start to stay equal level for now with Uzzy. Uzzy will have a little bit of an experience lead for now. Not by much though, it's about 100 difference between the two of net worth right now as speed buff looked at by Noble again. Even though Noble are being the aggressors once more like game 1, once again it's Oxygen that are able to answer back, Tony.
And this is going to be important for them to make this kind of a comeback because a double 100 composition cannot afford to go behind. You have to look for plays. Whenever you're getting stripped away in the speed buff on the right-hand side of the map, you have to figure out ways to get back into it on the opposite sides, and it seems that DayToRemeber has been getting a slight better end of the trade for WoW. He's able to out-clear the Skadi and then look for his own purple buff.
Well, both purple buffs are available right now, and you can see on the left, DayToRemeber is just bringing that one down at the same time as Wubbn's now turned up to pick that up. Extra penetration is always useful for the team, putting it on someone like a front carry in terms of a damage dealer or a soak like Odin will be in the early game. He's pretty much everything at the start of the game. Damage, control, aggression. As the game goes on, he becomes a walking ring though.
Absolutely. Odin does fall off later stages of the game. You're relying on your short cooldown ultimate to be able to lock down all 5 of these members, and Phantom has to be selected here. Golfier though very early from Noble.
DayToRemeber is the first to arrive, has vision and forced Noble back. Noble will go back to it straight away, only resetting it for a moment. They're still trying to bring Oxygen in a little bit more there, but they'll just be happy with the oracles at the end as they spawned, and they'll fall back back to farming mid.
Great ward from Oxygen right on the top side of that Gold Fury, so they were able to really see how committed Noble was to this Gold Fury. And unfortunately for them, the Oracles kind of deterred them away from really getting the objective that they wanted to, which was that Gold Fury, and a very early one at that. With Season 4 changes, this Gold Fury is worth a little bit more than the last previous one, so it's a good idea to try to take advantage of that.
All right. Harpies go the way of Noble, as do the Fire Elementals now. Uzzy's going to pick those ones up on Sobek as well. Wowy versus DayToRemeber. Wowy's done a good job of catching up here for now. Now level 8 equal to DayToRemeber for the time being. Both in the top of the net worth as well. Only around 100 gold difference between the two hunters.
Not too much to write home about between the two hunters in the duel lane, but the two hunters in the mid lane, definitely a different style in terms of the item selection here. Now Medusa, definitely a physical damage, ability-based hunter as well, but instead electing to finish off the boots before the Transcendence, even going as far as going for Bluestone and the Bumba's Mask, delaying his build. So the physical power onto Venenu is going to be a little bit higher here with this Transcendence stacking up.
But at the same time, Venenu was a little bit behind in terms of gold income so far, and that's because he was shown with 3 men a little bit more than that of Stealth in the mid lane, who was only really shown with Chapo, as Wubbn's been rotating from solo to duo most of the time.
Ooh, Chapo finding a nice stun onto NeiruMah. The Bird Bomb connecting, a nice little ring onto the Ymir, and that's going to be an easy pickings.
Skeeledon comes round the back though, looking for pressure, forced to dance away to safety. The snipes come out from Venenu, and the snipes for Remember as well. Remember his name! Double kill for DayToRemeber. Stealth will also fall down as Kiki cleans that up. Wowy's next to fall too. Noble are in tatters right now. Triple kill for DayToRemeber. Will it be the Quadra? Cancel that. Let's go for the Gold Fury.
Almost going to be a deicide, sacrificing the life out of NeiruMah with the hot snipes from both Venenu and DayToRemeber, capitalizing on just how grouped up Noble really were. And with that Gold Fury, now they get themselves a very comfortable lead.
A huge lead, in my opinion, for only 7 minutes in, though. That was a huge swing of events here, Tolly. All in Oxygen's favor. They just collapsed at the right time. Picked off the Ymir straight away. So Ymir got picked off straight away, but then straight after that, the collapse came in.
That team fight recap, 4-1 kills there, 1100 experience favoring Oxygen, really able to take advantage of it, even capitalizing on the respawn timers by grabbing their own waves. And things are only going to start to look a little bit worse here because of the fact of the matter was Noble committed just too much here onto this Ymir, who's not necessarily the tankiest target in the world at sitting level 8, reinforced against Mark of the Vanguard. He's only going to get tankier from here on out. If you don't kill him now, you're not going to kill him too much later on once those items come online.
Let's get into back Harpies now, but Ozzy's in a bit of trouble on this right-hand side as well. Kiki and NeiruMah combining with Gold Fury going down. That's when you can start to see these supports wander a little bit more than usual.
Chapo trying to get off a little bit of poke, but he's going to eat some in return. And now the question of the matter is, why do you even go for poke onto Venenu when you have Skeeledon right beside you and you can heal yourself if you're Venenu?
And we've not actually spoke about the sustain on the side of Oxygen. Obviously, Skeeledon on Chang'e has it, and you just mentioned there, Chiron has some sustain in his kit. Wubbn's dropped the ring, but instead he's eating more poke than he likes. Great petrify from Stealth, though, as a bird bomb comes into play. Skeely's still alive, though. NeiruMah is in trouble. Lacerate doesn't find a home. Looking for the autos, but still NeiruMah is duking out.
Kiki's here. He forces out the beats out of MLC Stealth. The snipes coming out of DayToRemeber. They're not going to find the mark. Uzzy having to retreat as well. So it's going to be a little bit of a wash. But yet again, Noble, it's been the same story this game compared to the last one where they just can't find the kills.
But sorry, that was a one fight for Noble there overall. They just can't get anything off. If you look at the side of Oxygen's map here on the order side, there is no buffs available for them to take. There is no Gold Fury or even Portal Demon on the map yet.
But imagine that same scenario in about 10 minutes from now, once the heals come on really online for this Chang'e. She's going to be able to bounce back into these team fights effortlessly.
Well, now it's going to be a waiting game for both teams, as Oxygen are going to look for an opportunity where they can to continue to aggress onto Noble. Noble are the ones that are fighting first, but they're not the ones winning the engagement. This is the second game in a row where it's all Noble initiating, but it's all Oxygen coming out with the result.
They might be feeling themselves a little bit too much off of that early level 2 first blood, and this is do or die for Noble. This is their elimination game from the Gauntlet. Oxygen, they have a 1-game lead here, so this is not the end of the world for them if they lose this one.
Uzzy being pressured by Skeeledon on the right. Level 9 for Skeeledon right now at 1-1-3. make that level 10, as he does equal up with Chapo. Even though Noble are behind at the moment, Chapo's keeping pace at the moment with Skeeledon.
They're feeling really confident, Noble, in terms of forcing these teamfights around the jungle side, really relying on the pressure that MLC Stealth can provide with that Petrify ultimate, but at the same time, Venenu has been doing a great job with these snipes, just connecting it every single time.
And Chiron's been out of the meta for quite a while. We mentioned in Game 1 that he's been played in the mid lane before, but the recent buffs to him have actually started to see a bit more of a resurgence, and he's doing good work on it.
And this is the point in time where the Transcendence has been completed. Skeeledon going to get locked in the cage,
Great
but
wall.
because of that wall, the enhance from Stealth can't connect back.
And that's why you don't need a Phantom necessarily. If NeiruMah can play like he has been so far this tournament, I will say Oxygen have looked good, but NeiruMah's been secretly doing very well. The poles on the Sylvanas all day, and now these Ymir walls, very, very important to keep his carries alive.
It seems that NeiruMah definitely took geometry class in high school, being able to dissect that circle into a little safety bubble for Skeeledon, not really having to worry too much. And on top of this, the Ymir wall also kind of makes it a little bit difficult for the Odin to find a clear-cut landing spot for his Bird Bond.
Gold Fury's still not available for a while, but the Oracles are about to come up there, and that's why Wowy's hanging around. DayToRemeber 3-0-1 so far after that triple kill in the last big engagement we saw on the Gold Fury. Already has the Iqval and the Assi online. More than likely, Chins is on the cards next.
That's a nice power spike for this Rama. That's only going to get better from here on out. This is the late game power spike that we're kind of hoping to see out of Oxygen with this double Hunter here. They're relying on their triple magical damage dealers as well as these two Hunters to make things really difficult for Noble in terms of their defensive itemization.
Normally, it's the Challenger Circuit teams that are the ones that struggle coming to the LAN events because they've not been playing at the highest level possible. But this time around, it's the pro teams, the SPL level teams that are struggling themselves to deal with this Challenger Circuit team.
Well, it seems that Oxygen is the dark horse here in this race. Not too many teams might be taking them as seriously as they should be. Flashpoint is the first victim here. Noble already got struck by first blood in the first game, so we're going to see Oxygen if they can capitalize off of their early momentum in the first game and trying to swing things here, closing out their second set of the day.
And this is a best of 3, so Oxygen just need to win this game. They'll move on to then face off against ALG. Winner of this moves on either way, but Noble have to win 2 in a row now. Long days for these teams, totally, especially long day for Oxygen, but they could do it.
Absolutely. Skeeledon has just been playing on point with these assassins, but not only has he been playing on point with these assassins, he's been switching it up every single time. You know, he did well with the Susanoo in the second game against Flashpoint, but then the first game against Noble, he went for the Hunbats despite Susanoo being available, and now going completely in a different direction with his Chang'e pick.
Well, right now, Noble aren't too far behind in terms of gold. They've managed to just hold off Oxygen, even though Oxygen won a major team fight the last Gold Fury. The next one's here, and DayToRemeber's in a bit of an awkward position. Gets poked out, good wall from NeiruMah and reinforcements from Oxygen. Will make sure Remember doesn't have to use any of his relics.
Gold Fury going to get pulled a little bit, taking half of its health away from the table. Chapo and Wubbn trying to lead the front line and stop this objective from being started, but doesn't matter because Oxygen, they're just going to constantly pull it and reset.
And the longer this goes on, though, the lower the Gold Fury will get. It doesn't immediately reset every time, so as long as they keep chipping away at it, and now the teleports coming from at least Uzzy in base right now is Kiki, who will be looking to join this fray very soon.
Nice little dance from Skeeledon preventing that sort of poke. Uzzy's controlling the front line. The Gold Fury. Kiki's in the backside.
And they pull NeiruMah in at the same time. Wax him. Boom. That's what I saw. Remember gets a kill. The cleanup crew from Venenu's there too. A double kill for the mid laner as Wowy drops as well. Another 4 for 0. Sorry, 4 for 1 again as NeiruMah falls again. But another Gold Fury the way of Oxygen.
The same exact story as before. NeiruMah sacrificing his life. Great rotation from Kiki coming on the backhand side. And Noble, they just can't get any engagements going their way. Wubbn's rings in a 5-5 here is actually hurting Noble because of how grouped up they have to be. This allows Venenu, DayToRemeber, and Skeeledon to all hit their ultimates in great succession.
And totally on top of that, Noble there. They didn't know where Kiki was, yet Uzzy engaged onto the Ymir. They wanted to try and pick off NeiruMah before the fight, before the reinforcements come through. But Kiki was already in the back lines. They'd not cleared their corners. They'd not found out where they were coming from. And in the end, they get collapsed on, and it costs them again. Not just the Gold Fury this time, but the Portal Demon as well.
They're still going on to NeiruMah. This time he's tankier. He has the sovereignty completed. He's a little bit higher level, which increases his base health, base protections, and now everyone else on his team is higher level, which means the heals from Skeeledon is going to be higher, making this tanky target that much more difficult to truly lock down and kill. And Noble, they can't be going for this Ymir any longer. This is hurting them.
Let's be honest, Tolly. When you talk about the Gauntlet, you think about how Gauntlet is scheduled to be. It's a chance for the lower-end teams to have a shot, a dream, a pipe dream. It's not a pipe dream anymore for Oxygen. The rest of the teams who are here are going to be watching this going, hang on a second. Like, they just defeated Flashpoint without really any issues, and now they're doing the beatdown onto Noble as well?
At this point now, Oxygen is a little bit ahead here. They're 4,000 gold ahead, but you still have to think about the mindset here coming out of Allegiance, watching this set here. Have they even been preparing
Wubbn
for
walks
Oxygen?
forward, going to catch Venenu in the ring. Venenu's not panicking though. No use of Relics or Ultimates yet. There's an Aegis as the ultimate from Chapo comes in as well. The Morrigan turns into Petrified, but it's not enough as Kiki picks up Chapo, and he's going on a wild ride. Forced to Aegis away. Chapo's in trouble. They're looking to survive as the damage comes through from Venenu. Venenu looking to clean it up, but Chapo the back gets double damage off. Still not enough for the bird bomb from Wubbn to clean up NeiruMah, who's bravely running away. Uzzy will clean it up 1-for-1. Jungle.
DayToRemeber, he's here. He's trying to find the Morg cleanup, not able to find the mark. Wowy can't find Skeeledon either, but the Snipe's trying to find Uzzy. Can't connect on any single one of them, and Stealth now trying to zone out the rest of them. That's going to be Venenu dead as well. DayToRemeber caught in a world of trouble, but Stealth is on the backside getting taken out.
At the same time, this is a big play for Noble there. Kiki gets a double kill off this fight. They can get a tier 1 tower in the mid lane too. Continue to pressure could be an option here. With 4 members dead and Kiki so low, they could look for the tier 2.
The first true mistake that Oxygen made, they didn't really come back from this team fight to rely on some of the sustain options that they had. Instead, trying to really rely on some of these rotations from DayToRemeber, which didn't really work out as he missed a lot of these snipes. Instead, he wanted to try to look for the close range snipes. I feel like he could have made a half rotation and then look for the long distance snipes and then make the rotation, but instead that hurt him long enough to the point where he was in the air for so long that Wowy was able to make the counter rotation.
Surprisingly enough there, Tolly, is that when you actually look at Oxygen's composition, you expect a longer engagement, a longer team fight like that one was. They should be the ones coming out on top with the sustain in their kit. Difference was, it wasn't the case, because Noble, they're the ones the longer that fight went on that won it.
Absolutely. NeiruMah was caught in an awkward position where he had to kind of sacrifice his own life to allow Skeeledon and Venenu to basically retreat under the safety of the mid lane, but instead not having the HP 5 from the Sovereignty and the rotation from Wowy. This was the first mistake that Oxygen made, and now Noble, they cut the lead down now to only 2,000 of a deficit.
I will say Oxygen's faces and the cameras in the bottom left-hand corner, they were all smiles during this a moment ago. Looks like serious faces are back on again as Noble have shown that even though they're down, they are not out just yet.
No, not at all, but still, Oxygen are in a decent spot here with their composition because the items are coming online for these Guardians to be extra tanky here. The second relic is available for slotted for NeiruMah if he wants to go for this meditation or if he wants to be super aggressive and go for this blink, which wouldn't be a bad idea.
18 minutes in with the next goal here that's due up in 50 seconds. It will be a focal point here, but it's the same time the Portal Demon should be up a few seconds later. So we'll see if any of the teams actually choose to focus one over the other, because one of them does give you an advantage at the Fire Giant, Holy.
Yes, you want to make sure that if you're going to do the Gold Fury, the question that you have to ask yourself is, does the enemy team have enough DPS to truly get the Fire Giant uncontested? And at this point, with a double hunter composition between Wowy and Stealth, and not only that, Chapo can go into any 4 hunters that he wants to really melt this objective. But looking at the second relic from NeiruMah, yet again, has to be the Phantom here. We were talking about in the beginning of the game, this Odin cage is going to be dealt with a little bit.
A little bit, but it's only going to be once off, and the Odin cage comes up a lot more often than that relic there, Tolly. So they've got to use it wisely at the right time. I will say, though, Oxygen have played around that cage relatively well so far.
Absolutely. With the walls from NeiruMah, the Aegis selection here between Skeeledon and Venenu being able to retreat, use their long-distance snipes. But now with this Phantom, they're able to maybe capitalize off of one misstep from Noble. If they're too grouped up, that's when Oxygen is truly going to strike.
Chapo was looking for a cheeky flank round the back there, looking to pick onto DayToRemeber. The rest of Noble stopped the Gold Fury, forced to reset as now 4-on-4 begins around the Gold Fury.
Great ward that was able to take out both of those wards. They got a 2-for-1 there, but a nice little counter ward from a Noble. Looking at the 1v1 though, yeah, they're trying to basically zone each other out, and Uzzy's doing a better job here than Kiki, able to poke him out a little bit harder.
But they both have teleport, and by following each other, they can both hold onto that if they want to. Uzzy, recognizing that Kiki was heading back to base there, is allowed to go and free-farm on the right-hand side instead, put some pressure back onto Kiki.
And 20 minutes into the game, this is where the lanes are going to have about those double to triple gladiator melee minions. So if you leave one lane uncontested, such as Kiki did here, your tower is going to be taking a beating, and Uzzy almost taking that out.
Doing good work to it, but with Kiki back, it won't drop just yet unless Uzzy really wants to try and invest into it. Don't think you can get it as a Guardian just yet, though, but that pressure does work out well for Noble for the time being.
Even 500 gold at this point is something that you want to be able to consider. DayToRemeber, though, having to use his
both relics
and the Aegis just to make sure that nobody else from Noble would capitalize.
And normally that wouldn't be that important if you could just farm it out until your relics are back up, but I don't think Noble are going to allow them to do that. Straight away, they head over to the Gold Fury. Reinforcements for Oxygen are on the way. Let's have a listen in to Oxygen as they look to contest.
Back up.
Stop the CB. Stop the CB. He's coming
Push. Can we do this?
Yeah, can
we? Force it now. I have wall open a couple.
Can you sentry, Kiki?
What's first?
Yeah, I can.
Can we get a word over the wall? We're fighting.
We're fighting. Is he here in a sec?
Yeah.
Look the wall. Poke him. Nice. Dash. Back up a bit.
I have all.
Grab Morrigan.
Go. Morrigan's on the back. Killing us. We're shelled. I have one kill. I have Venenu for Cage.
Medusa beat down. The one is me.
Medusa
Cage.
I'm in the cage. Wall, big wall.
Got it all. Just on the side. Just heal him full, yeah.
Heal up. Back up a bit. Back up. Don't pull it. Just keep healing.
I need a heal.
Yeah. I have wall pretty soon. We can start slowly DPSing now. They're trying to back. Yeah, we can
get a ward over this wall.
Kill.
Well, great start from Oxygen. You can hear them calling it totally. They want to try and sustain back up, but NeiruMah's in trouble here. He's going to ult, but Venenu will clean up 1-for-1. Chapo credit for NeiruMah, however. Skeeledon on the front side going to sustain back up a little bit more. Dance away to safety. The Chiron on the front is doing decent work as Chapo's looking for a potential damage.
Nice Aegis coming out of Venenu. Chapo taking a lot of damage here. He's forced to use an Aegis of his own. Wubbn caught in a bad spot. Chapo is poked out as well.
Totally.
We were listening into the rest of Oxygen as they were even talking about that. Poke here, retreat, use their sustain, reset. Trading out 1-for-2. NeiruMah has been the story of this whole game as the sacrificial lamb to allow the rest of Oxygen to get whatever they want.
And that's the funny thing is when you actually look at NeiruMah's play here today, he's doing very well for his team, but he's very similar to what Frezzy used to do for Old Obey. He is a sacrificial lamb, but the team get benefits off of it.
The only difference here between those two players that you just mentioned is the fact that NeiruMah is allowing the rest of Noble to aggress, whereas Frezzy, he's going to be the guy that's going to kind of be the one frontliner himself to get the rest of his team that lead.
And now Oxygen are just able to play to their comp. I love the fact that when we listen to the comps, how calm and collected they were. They called out things relatively well, and now Noble are trying to answer back with the Portal Demon, NeiruMah, Skeeledon, and Kiki here. Chapo looking to set up if it can. Petrify, Skeedy's in trouble. Can you dance if you want to? You better leave your friends behind, because if not, Chapo's going to run you down with a Medusa in mid. Still, Chapo will pick him up. Kiki's out of mana. NeiruMah with a great wall to wall off the rest of Noble, but he's still in trouble, trapped in the ring.
Not having the Phantom, that's going to be the second member dead out of Oxygen. Just great counterplay because the CC immunity from the Medusa ultimate, preventing the Waxing Moon stun effect, and also mistimed it with Skeeledon, unfortunately, during that Portal Demon. And now Noble, with this Portal Demon, they're going to take it all the way to the Fire Giant. They have a 2-player advantage for 20 seconds.
But it is 2 AD carries they're up against here. DayToRemeber and Venenu. One has the ultimate, DayToRemeber, but both of them can get range damage down onto the Fire Giant. Are they going to look to try and poke it and steal this, or would you look to try and get them off?
They're going to fight completely. Uzzy taking a lot of damage. He even gets bursted by the Fire Giant. Wubbn has to retreat. Oxygen Supremacy stole the Fire Giant.
And now Chapo's in trouble, running for his life on the right. Chased down by Venenu and DayToRemeber. The rest of Noble are running for their lives, but Kiki's having none of that. He'll blink in and get the Aegis out of Wowy. Wubbn has to dash away again, but look at Stealth. He got hit by 2 autos, one from Venenu, one from DayToRemeber. Half health in seconds, and Oxygen have the Fire Giant.
You cannot take this team lightly. Oxygen Supremacy are here to play. They're 1 game away from going to the next round to to face off against Team Allegiance. They have the Fire Giant now for another 3.5 minutes, and you could just say goodbye to all your tier 2 towers if you're Noble. 2 Hunters with Fire Giant.
Wobbn is coming around the corner here, has his ultimate available on the Odin, but before he can even look to initiate, the team call it off. The tier 2's already fallen, and immediately Oxygen won't go for the Phoenix. Like you said, they're going to push round for the tier 2 in mid lane. That's
4,500 gold between these 3 tier 2 towers for all of your teammates to benefit off of. Why wouldn't you go for it? Currently, doesn't have 5-6 slot items here for Oxygen, so still could play it really safe here. The second game of Flashpoint was relatively safe. The first game of this set wasn't as safe, but this time around, they're going to take every single stop.
One Noble thing they can hold at their tier 2 tower, and I don't think Oxygen are going to let them do that. Wobbn's actually forced to leap out defensively. Uzzy on the forefront will get some good poke off onto Venenu, thanks to the support of Stealth and Chapo. Still not enough, though, for Noble to defend that tier 2, and Oxygen look to resustain and fall back, but the Petrify from Stealth is there.
Kiki gets stunned out, gets pulled out, but the snipes coming from Venenu. Nice waxing move from Chapo as he goes into the Chang'e, but Wubbn is going to be the first sacrificial lamb. Kiki still chasing down. NeiruMah trying to find the wall freeze combination, but not able to find it. Nice little sneaky play from Chapo going to the left.
And Wowy's now caught in mid. The freeze was good, and remember, picks him up too. Stealth is looking to survive as long as he can, allowing Chapo around the back. But Chapo won't be able to do anything right now because Oxygen have this game the way it's going.
This might be game, Hindu. This actually might be game. Oxygen, they're going for the Titan, and they're going to advance to face off against Team Allegiance.
Can they do it in time? It looks like it will go down indeed. Oxygen have strangled the life out of Noble there. Asphyxiation. Kiki's so happy after that second set in a row.
Absolutely. He has to be happy here. He basically hasn't been on the SPL here for a little bit of time here, so he's getting back into the game. We're making sure that Oxygen is in the right spot, being led by Kiki and Skeeledon here. They're just doing absolute work here in the Gauntlet.
Great work from Oxygen, and now they don't even get a moment's respite here, really, Tolly, do they? Let's be honest, because they go straight into Allegiance now. It's just non-stop.
It's just non-stop action here if you're in the Gauntlet, and this is what teams have to prepare for. If you're not looking for the Challenger Circuit team, you're going to fall, just like Flashpoint and Noble.
And now that's a big win for Oxygen there. Straight 2-on once again. Double Hunters once again. And was it fully clean, though? Because they made a mistake at that Portal Demon that they need to correct. They lost 2 members, but the good thing is the 3 members that were still alive were able to rally and defend that fire.
I would say clean games are to a point where your Titan, it was never truly at jeopardy, and that's exactly what we saw out of Oxygen Supremacy. They won the first game, rather, in about 22 minutes, no problem. It's shutting down Flashpoint as well. They're looking like a serious contender here in the North American Gauntlet.
Well, you talk about contenders, though. They're against Allegiance next. Now, Allegiance are an established team themselves. They've had troubles this split. But do you reckon Oxygen can do it there too?
I'm going to ride this dark horse all the way to the end.
Well, we'll head over to the analysts and see what they have to say about that second game and Oxygen advancing once more.
High energy game there as we saw them really race to the finish. Out of control. Really, the double hunters, I'm impressed.
I mean, it was just crazy. It looked like Noble had the chance to really break that game open. The Fire Giant looked to be their ticket towards a third game in this set. And then it just got botched. That entire Fire Giant pull was just way too sloppy from Noble. Yeah. It opens the door to allows Oxygen Supremacy to steal it away, and then it was just a quick finish from there.
Second game in a row that we see the Chiron mid. Venenu making it rock.
I really liked it, especially the play where you had both the Rama and the Chiron snipes coming through. I think this is another play. I think just overall great performance. This god has shown up this LAN, and I would really love to see more of it.
Yeah, one thing that I really like about the Chiron pick paired up with the Ram is that long range, the double sniper comp. You're just not running away. You're not escaping this team.
You're never safe. You're never safe. If you're 1 HP, you're probably going to get hit by one of those 2 snipes either way.
Yeah, it's a lot of strength coming out of those 2 hunters there. Long range damage. I think that was a really big deal. And part of what allowed their team to go ahead and topple Noble again. I just didn't expect this one. Dimmy, what about this team allows them to make it this far?
I just think they had great momentum. It was just amazing how they were able to pull through, and I'm not sure how they did it, actually. If I was a Challenger Cup team coming into this, I would have such little hopes. But the way they played it, the way they just got so far, the picks they got, the team fights they had were amazing. And they stole the Fire Giant, and they just sealed the deal.
The momentum is just way too strong in Oxygen's Supremacy's favor right now. If I'm Team Allegiance, I'm probably more worried facing an Oxygen than I would have been against Noble or Flashpoint at this stage, because you know they've just won 4 games in a row, doing multiple different things too. It's not like we could just say, oh, okay, they're just playing this one god, we can just ban that out and it's easy wins. Venenu's looked great on multiple gods. NeiruMah has just played absolutely lights out. He's probably the name that most viewers at home don't recognize if you're not recognizing a name. But he's been unbelievable so far.
And it's interesting because NeiruMah, this guy has been around the Smite scene for years.
Yeah.
A lot of the high-end players have either played on a team with him or whatnot, and it's the instincts. Support isn't about hitting your buttons. Listen, a Ymir cone is the size of the lane. It's about what are your instincts, your reactions, and how you're playing. And if you're watching at home, you can see that come out in his gameplay, both for him in team fights and in the lane. Although DayToRemeber doesn't need much help. I mean, this guy, like, I keep bringing him up because he's very important and I want you guys to remember him. But I don't think he needs my help.
No, and he's looked so good again on multiple gods, and he's definitely getting hype in there. You could watch him on those player cams. He's definitely feeling it here as he gets the momentum going, and that's important. And it's also important to note that whenever Oxygen throw a team fight and it looks like they might be down, they don't seem to get too on tilt. They seem to stay focused throughout.
I just that ult from Skeeledon off the side, just bang right down the middle, and then Day's like, "That's my name, that's my turn," and he just comes through and he's just firing these shots off. Oh man, just a lot of fun. I'm sitting out there watching the game with Walrus, and he's like, okay, this team, all right, we're aware. He's like, I'm just ready to be excited. I want to be loud and everything, but it's gonna be tough to be louder than DayToRemeber. He's out there. Day's played through I keep mentioning the college league, the challenger circuit. Now here he is on the big stage. And he's absolutely letting everybody know. We've got Hindu standing by with somebody else. It's MLC Stealth, the mid laner for Noble.
It is MLC Stealth. First of all, commiserations on the performance today. What went wrong?
You did
top damage in both games for your team.
I was making sure to check.
It's not that.
I was pressing T the whole time to remind myself.
Good. So what was it?
I'm not too sure. This was our first LAN as a team. Sure. I wasn't too worried about like, oh, what if we perform bad? Like that's gonna be so bad. And everyone's going to think we're a bad team. I don't really care too much about that. Okay. I just wanted to get here, hang out with the guys.
Get to know each other a little bit better.
Get to know each other. Because I think once we get to know each other better, once we go back home and play online and practice and scrims and stuff, it's going to go a lot more smooth because we're going to know everybody's intentions.
I can see
and we're
that.
just going to know each other a little more personally so we can play better.
Let's have a look at Oxygen as well here, because obviously I want to ask you a couple of questions about them. Is like, were you expecting to face them, or were you expecting Flashpoint? Did you prep for both of them equally, or did you actually expect it to be Flashpoint against you?
We were pretty sure we were going to be facing Oxygen.
Really?
They're a really good team. We didn't think they were going to play this good. We were pretty confident they were going to beat Flashpoint. We thought we were going to beat them, but they played lights out.
Yeah.
I'm really proud of them. I like Venenu a lot. Venenu is a good guy. He's a good mid, and I'm actually like rooting for this team to win.
Awesome.
The whole thing.
Do you reckon they could do it?
It's really hard because they're going to have to play every single set. They're going to have to play all these games.
All day.
Their momentum might eventually run out. They're going to be really tired
it's
going.
Like old school Smite, that, right? Remember the old days when we used to do weekly tournaments? You had to go all the way to the end. It's very
they have the potential to win. They're definitely like all really good players. It's just I think the momentum might run off here pretty soon.
So game one, they ran a double Hunter composition against you with the Morrigan, and it looks like game two, you wanted to either adapt that, or was that also something that you'd practiced as well?
We kind of just picked it because they picked. We're not really too sure what we're doing on picks and bans yet. I'm not sure if I'm supposed to say that. But we're trying to. We're still figuring things out as a team. We're still pretty new together. Sure. We still don't really know exactly what we're doing. We're trying to find each other's strengths still. Gotcha. And we kind of just picked that because they picked that and it worked pretty good for them. We were like, hey, they got ganks, pressure here, do that. Let's try to do that too.
Right, but it didn't work out the same way.
Didn't really work out.
There was a moment in game two, though. There was a window of comeback for you. You got the Portal Demon. You had that little skirmish there where you picked up 2 kills. And then the Fire Giant didn't work out so well. What went wrong?
They stole it.
No, really? Did they?
I don't know if you heard or saw.
I think I did both.
Yeah, I'm not sure how they did. We were just a little mixed on communications. We weren't sure if we should burn. We weren't sure if we should like peel and fight the bad guys coming in. Also, I got knocked up by Fire Giant like right when it was at kill potential.
The worst possible time.
Worst time. Because it was set to me. I don't know why it was on me.
So with this now being over, and now you're looking towards the summer split now, what's the next thing on the list for Noble?
I think we should stick together as a team. I think that's a good idea. I'm really proud of these guys. I think they're all really mechanically strong players. I mean, because you guys just see like how they perform like on lands in SPL games. I see how they do like before scrims, after scrims, during scrims. I hear what they talk about, what they say. I think they are all really good players.
It does seem like a young team overall that's actually trying to nurture and grow into a big unit right now.
Yeah,
and
I
that's
think
kind of what this event seemed like it should be for.
Yeah, I think they're all still growing. They're all pretty young. We're all growing as players. They're growing and how to like learn how to communicate during team fights and stuff.
Awesome. Thank you so much for joining us. Did you have any shout outs you want to give?
Just my wife. She's pregnant. She is.
Is she?
3 months away from having a baby.
Already?
Our baby. Yeah.
3 months?
3 months. July 15th.
Daddy stealth.
That's where like that's when Spain's happening, I think.
We're having the baby in Spain? Is that what's happening?
No. There's like a.
Is she coming with us? Yeah, you're going to make it to Spain and then bring it?
I'm probably not going to make it.
Why not? You could have a Spanish baby then.
And it's good because we didn't do that great here, so I can not miss my wife's birth of
That's
a baby.
the main thing. Thanks a lot for joining us, Stealth, today.
Thank you.
That's it from me. Head over to the analyst for the next set because Allegiance versus Oxygen is next on the cards.